Helion hits 150 milligauss Celsius in private fusion milestone. Helion has reported a technical milestone that places new attention on the pace and credibility of private sector fusion. Its Polaris prototype has achieved plasma temperatures of 150 million degrees Celsius and demonstrated measurable deuterium-tritium (DT) fusion, an achievement long regarded as a threshold for commercially relevant performance. The result makes Polaris the first privately funded fusion system to operate with DT fuel at these temperatures. More significantly, it marks the first time a private fusion device in its class has surpassed the 100 million degree benchmark typically associated with net energy capable regimes. Prototype iteration as a commercial strategy. Polaris is Helion's seventh prototype, reflecting a development model built around short design cycles and incremental performance gains. Each successive machine has targeted higher plasma temperatures, improved power handling, and tighter engineering tolerances. The current test campaign, which began following Polaris's commissioning in late 2024, is designed to validate scaling across fuel types and to assess whether the underlying field reverse configuration architecture can withstand the operational demands of DT fusion. A related milestone sits outside the laboratory. Helion became the first private company to secure regulatory approval to possess and use tritium for fusion demonstrations. While procedural in nature, the authorization underscores fusion's gradual shift from experimental science toward a regulated industrial activity. Independent technical reviewers have noted two core implications of the Polaris data. The first is confirmation that the system is not only reaching higher temperatures, but doing so in a regime that produces thermonuclear reactions. The second is that Helion's pulsed approach is showing measurable, repeatable behavior, an essential step if fusion systems are to move from research platforms to engineered power assets, from DT demonstration to grid delivery. In fusion development, temperature alone is not a commercial metric. Sustained operation at 150 million degrees, however, places Polaris within a performance window long associated with practical fusion energy. The progression from Helion's earlier Trenta prototype, which reached 100 million degrees, to Polaris suggests measurable advancement rather than incremental tuning. For policymakers and investors, the milestone reinforces a broader trend in U.S. fusion strategy, reducing technical risk through rapid iteration and early hardware deployment rather than relying on singular, large-scale demonstration projects. That philosophy, increasingly common among private fusion developers, is intended to compress development timelines in a sector historically defined by long lead times. Despite the focus on DT fuel, Helion's stated commercial pathway centers on deuterium-helium-3. If realized, that approach could mitigate some neutron-related material challenges associated with DT reactions and simplify aspects of energy capture. Polaris is intended to push temperature and performance toward the operational range required for that next fuel cycle. Commercial validation will ultimately hinge on grid delivery. Construction is underway in Malaga, Washington, on Orion, Helion's first commercial-scale system, which is planned to supply fusion-generated electricity to Microsoft. That project will test whether lessons from prototype systems can translate into a grid-connected asset capable of reliable operation and competitive cost performance. For the wider fusion sector, Helion's results increase expectations. Demonstrating DT fusion at 150 million degrees does not resolve outstanding challenges related to durability, cost, or large-scale deployment. It does, however, narrow the gap between laboratory milestones and commercial commitments, placing greater emphasis on execution in the next phase of development.